Hello everyone, welcome to my fifth vlog here. And if I sound real funny, I have either one of two things, a cold or a sinus infection. And right now my body is having a debate about whether it's one or the other, so hopefully I'll find out soon. Alright, now last month in December, I had the opportunity to participate in a Christmas parade here in Warner Robins, and it was real nice too. I mean, I was with Macon State College when I did it, and it was real nice. I mean, I was also real tired too because I hadn't gotten a wink of sleep the night before. I had to be at a meetup place at like 7 o'clock in the morning, and then I had to carpool with someone over to this parking lot to get on the float. So it was unbelievable. But there was this one thing, and I don't know why they did it. If as you go along, right before you turn onto the main street on the route, before you turn on Watts Boulevard, you're on North Houston, and right before you turn on to Watson, there's this church right next to Walgreens, and they were handing out coffee and hot chocolate and stuff like that. Well, without me knowing, my pastor decided to greet me, and so he had everybody scream my name when I came by, scream my name, wave their arms, embarrass me to death, and I was just standing, and I didn't get mad. I was very cool. I just sat there and went, and one person was asking me why I was doing that, and I told them because they're my relatives and they annoy. No, I didn't say that. So if you're watching this and you go to my church, don't take it personal. I did not say that. Okay. Now I've been getting messages from people asking me about the sports show that I'm doing for the college TV station. Well, I got the filming done. I got everything done. I got the filming done, and right now half of the show is in the computer. I didn't capture the second half of the show because basically I didn't have time, and I'm not going up there this semester because it was really grueling to go from Warner Robins to Macon a lot during first semester and second semester, and plus the traffic in Macon is unbelievable. So right now Friday Night Highlights is on hold. We're not, hopefully next semester we may get back to it, may not, depends, but I am still very involved in the station. I am doing voiceovers for them, so I'm still involved with it. Alright, now I've also been getting messages about what was the worst holiday travel I ever experienced. Alright, well, years ago, I guess it was about 9 or 10 years ago, I was heading up to Tennessee, and it was, I think, right after Nashville. Right after we went through Nashville, there was ice on the road, and snow was falling on top of it, and we kind of knew that there was going to be ice, and so we headed out early, but we didn't beat it. It was there on the road, and usually it takes us about 7.5, maybe 8.5, maybe 9 hours to get to Tennessee, or where we're going, West Tennessee. And instead it took us about 13 hours. So it was, and plus, I was young, and you know how youngins get. If they're in a car for about 13 hours, you know they're going to be, "Are we there yet? Are we there? I'm bored." So, and I was one of them. So, and there was another time, and it was this past time, and we were heading back from Tennessee, and it was the weekend. It was the last weekend of '07, and we headed out. We got on the road about 8 o'clock that morning. Well, somehow we seemed to hit almost every wreck on the road, on the interstate, and it was nobody's fault. I mean, there was nothing we could do. So finally, about when we hit Ackworth, we got off. We took 41 until we got to the other side of Atlanta, where it was less crowded. But all in all, total trip time about 12 hours. So those were 2 times. I'm not even going to say about the second ice storm. All right. Now, since my last vlog, Don Imus has returned to radio, and used to, went back in April when I was still in high school and getting up at 6:30 in the morning and getting over to school by 7:15. I would listen for a few minutes to Don Imus on WFAN, and I managed to listen to his last broadcast before, and this was before anybody knew that it was his last one, and it was pretty, and it was a good broadcast. I mean, it wasn't super or anything. It was okay. Well, now that I'm in college, and now that I don't have to get up until about 6:45 or so, and by the time I get to school, I don't even want to think about getting on a computer and listening to Imus, because one, the only time I listen to WABC is on Saturday night when Mark Simone does the Saturday Night Oldies show. That's the only time I listen to it. I don't listen to it any other time. So, alright. But as far as I know, Don Imus is doing good. Alright. Now the writer's strike. Alright. Since my last blog, the writer's strike has happened, and I think my last one, I think the writer's strike was going on then. I can't remember. But since then, David Letterman, Jay Leno, Craig Ferguson, Conan O'Brien, and Jimmy Kimmel, and Carson Daly, they all returned to late night. And by the way, I'm getting toward 10 minutes, so which is the limit for YouTube. So if it gets cut off in the next few seconds, don't worry, I'll pick it back up, and with another blog I'll link it to this one. Anyway, the writer's strike. When they returned, when David Letterman and everybody else except Carson Daly, he returned earlier. When everybody else returned, Jay Leno and Conan, and I think Jimmy Kimmel as well, returned without writers. And David Letterman and Craig Ferguson were the only 2 with writers. And I happened to be watching that night, David Letterman that night, because he was the one with the writers. He came out with he looked like an old grandpa. I mean, he had the beard and the mustache. He had the beard, I should say, full beard, looking like he was just out on the street going, "Yes, somebody, Mr. Can you spare some penny?"